Internet looks good right now. Okay, game is up. Aussie 1-1. I will be right back. Beatrice. I'm good. All right. What did we say here?
Ready to go?
Yeah, just bringing my streams up. Is that a flea? There's a flea in my room. It's official. I'm now 40. I guess I have to start being an adult. Let's do some taxes, boys. Congratulations on surviving to 40, Dustin.
I need to do my taxes too. I even brought back some, what's it called? Documents home from work today just to get started. I forgot to start it.
Yeah. For me, I don't have a job. And I don't make enough on Twitch to get taxed yet, so.
No.
Just be poor like me and you don't have to do your taxes, guys. Don't make money. 200 IQ. All right. Hang on. Okay, good. Guess it's time to get rid of that 50K in credit card debt. Yeah, man. Alright guys, I know we're a little bit behind schedule on the casting here, but today we're going to be doing Moonrai versus Erdmon. We're just going to be doing the single cast right now. I'm joined here by Flash for the win. But this is
Ozzy.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, this is just the continuation of the round of 16, or really I guess the start of the round of 16, because I haven't even started this yet. But we're going to start knocking this out. Finally, I fixed my internet stuff, so I think we are finally good to go.
Nick Hot S just resubbed for 4 months.
Yo, Nick, thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, with that little bit out of the way, we're going to go ahead and hop into this first game. The map of the round of 16 is going to be Polestar, so the first map will always be Polestar for all of these games. Wait, is that right?
His cousin.
Hang on a second. It's not supposed to be Polestar. It's supposed to be Death Valley.
Yeah.
Erdmon and Moonrai. These are the two guys that did the wrong map on the first round as well.
They just want to play whatever map they want, man.
I guess. Alright, so yeah, the first map is supposed to be Death Valley. But these guys picked the wrong map. They did Death Valley. Both of these guys actually picked Death Valley on the round of 32 when they were playing their matches against the other guy. It's just kind of funny that we're consistently... Whatever, these two. They do their best. It's okay.
Do their best.
Anyway, so yeah, spawning in the bottom right corner, we have Moonrai. And in the top left, we have Erdmon, also known as Stonedmon, which is probably part of why we're on this map. It is what it is.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, this is the map that's supposed to be the round of 8.
Yeah, maybe they were just thinking they were already in the round of 8, but anyway, who knows? Yeah, this, as I said before, this map is a Sniper Rich's cousin with the what was it, swastika design basically on the map, but.
Oh yeah, you know what? I never even noticed that.
A lot of people were pointing that out when the map first got revealed. It's like, is this allowed? Like, Sniper Ridge got banned for a reason, and now we kind of have it back. But
that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I guess I hadn't looked at it unveiled before, so yeah, that's funny. Just accidentally drawing swastikas everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 4-player rotational symmetry maps, you know, kind of ends up looking like this a little bit, even if it's not like explicitly this. But
yeah. Yeah, it makes sense that it would happen sometimes. Every now and then. It looks like Erdmon's going to go for that 12 hatch. Pretty standard in this matchup. I was told, in the little bit of Zerg that I was learning, I was told by multiple Zerg players that pretty much no matter what, just always go 12 hatch and learn to defend the A-Rex.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I'm trying to tell PBJD to do it. Just learn how to defend against 8 racks, because he'll just go overpool or something, just not to get, like, you know, hammered by an 8 racks against me, for example. And I'm just like, you just gotta learn how to micro at some point, man. Yeah,
it seems like going overpool against just a normal turn opener feels really crappy for Zerg. Just from the little bit that I played, I really did not like the way it felt. The way it felt at all.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, man, you lose so much, like, economy and larva doing it, but, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned. The larva is so important. I never really understood it until I started playing Zerg how important, like, larva management actually is. You pretty much never want to sit on 3 larva and risk larva death or anything like that. It makes a huge difference in your build. Alright, so Moonrai gonna go for this wall. Just going to go for a single marine into the CC, even though it's cross-spawn, so it's actually kind of nice for him. That's one nice thing you get about doing these walls. Is this open on the bottom, though, or is this a full wall?
Yeah, it is open on the bottom.
Okay.
Same thing happens on Vermeer, where the racks and egg at the bottom is in a full wall. The weird thing about this wall is SCVs can't actually get through, and neither can Marines until you kill one of the eggs or lift the racks. SCVs can still get back in by mineral walking through the eggs, but it is, like, weirdly pretty tight for Terran.
So it's Marine tight, not Ling tight.
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of sucks. SCV taking a lot of damage as soon as these first 2 Lings hatch. That kind of sucks for Moonrai. It's very important not to lose this SCV because you just want to know if your opponent's making a bunch of extra Lings and stuff so you can respond accordingly. So just this getting chased off early does suck a little bit. That being said, Erdmon's usually a pretty straight up player. He will mix in some shenanigans every now and then, but for the most part he likes to play very macro.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say on this map is a very macro oriented map with where how the base layouts are, especially the close by thirds. I would say this is actually a very good map in terms of going for Hydra Lurk Defiler style on 3 base on 3 gas. But Urmon's not kind of really that player, as we know. He kind of likes to go for that 4 base corner setup that most Zergs like to do.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very big on just the Defiler Ultra Ling late game. Usually you see him floating about 3,000 minerals, that kind of thing. We did get a second SCV sent out actually to mineral walkthrough, so this is kind of a nice play from Moonrai, recognizing that his SCV was going to get chased off early, so I kind of like that response, making sure he gets the scout, sees his fire timing, sees it come down, sees, you know, only a handful of lings, so nothing crazy going on, very normal so far for Urmon. Looks like we went for, I guess this is 1 Rax eBay. Yeah, Rax eBay.
Yeah, Rax eBay. I like this on cross map, especially just because, you know, if you do a 2 Rax Academy, the stim timing, I mean, walking across the cross map is just so difficult for Terran. So I almost always do this, even though I'm not even a 2 Rax Academy player anyways. It just makes me feel even better when it's cross map. And it's like, all right, mutas will take a little bit longer to get to my base. I'll have more time to get turrets up too. First scan going down, even though his SCV already saw the Spire, but I guess probably just wants to confirm that he didn't cancel and is trying something tricky.
Yeah, I actually, at first I didn't like it, but then I thought about that, and that's exactly it, right? He just wants to confirm the Spire is still building, that it wasn't a cancel into a Hydra Den, especially because he's going for this, like, 5-rack style, so if it were a Lurker rush and he was doing this, it'd be an absolute nightmare if he got caught off guard by that. So I actually really like double-checking like that.
Yep, and he'll be totally fine here, 4x instead of 5. I think just because it was a 2 hatch initially, 2.5 hatch is the build, and we'll see Herb. We'll see what direction he's going to take in terms of the expansion layout. Will he play something closer, or is he going to take like that 3rd base? Another scan goes down. He's going to see the mutas eggs starting, so now he can start his turrets everywhere.
Yeah, should he have sent a drone out by now to have taken this 3rd hatchery?
Yeah, the drone's a little bit late, so unfortunately for him, yeah, 3rd base will be a touch delayed here for him. But I mean, the mutas should be out in order to defend it. It's just usually a little bit awkward because you want to get that first larva out in case you need to build sunkens at the 3rd base and to get that creep spread a little bit more. But should be okay overall.
Yeah, Hydra Den coming down for Urmon. So far we've just made, what was it, 6 muta? 7 muta? Okay, we got 7. Everything lining up kind of nicely for Moonrai. I mean, range stem done and +1 finish right now, so Moonrai's actually pretty strong with this bio at the moment against just only 7 muta. So he actually hit his build relatively well.
Yeah, really, really tight build here that he's done. The one issue is going to be maybe that he's going to, his Marines might get up the ramp a little bit more difficult, but he looks like he's going to push.
Yeah, we're going to see those creeps now starting for Urmon, and this is kind of the moment that we're kind of talking about. It's a little bit concerning. 1 muta even going down without really killing anything. But if Moonrai knows about bottom left, there's absolutely nothing Urmon can do to stop it. I mean, we've only got 6 muta here. This is +1 range stem bio. 3 medics here, so it's going to be almost impossible for these mutas to whittle this down enough to save that base if Moonrai becomes aware of it. Factory coming down at 7 minutes, which is also pretty good timing. Moonrai actually playing, like, this is really strong looking from Moonrai so far.
Yeah, I haven't really seen Moonrise TBZ all that much, to be honest, so I'm actually very impressed so far with how his build order's been. The only downside is his SCV count's a little low. He was below 30 when all of his racks were done, and you generally want to be around like 35 SCVs, maybe a little bit touch below that, but yeah, so the only problem is he's going to be a little bit poorer than what he would like to be, and looks like he hit a supply block at 60.
Yeah, I got that double depot coming down. No second geyser started yet, and yeah, kind of a good call out on the SCV count. That is true, because our SCVs are a little bit late. We can't really afford to pump nonstop wall teching. Like, this factory is going to finish and we're going to need to drop double starport. We're not making Marines this entire time, so the economy is hurting his production a little bit. But this bio ball definitely pretty scary. I didn't see, okay, lurker aspect did finish. Okay, so we got lurkers started. Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah, okay, we have 4 lurkers building right now. Where are the other 2?
I'm trying to figure out where they are.
They're under the Overlord. Okay.
Oh, I see. That's a pretty cute placement for him, actually. Unfortunately, no lurkers yet at the 3rd base, but it looks like Moonrai hasn't really found it yet, so he's not actually pushing towards it. Would be a really good timing for Moonrai to actually go down to that 3rd base. Looks like a scan went off, and it was at the natural. So he has no idea about this 3rd base location yet, which is really a little bit risky here for Moonrai in terms of not splitting some Marines off to look for it.
Yeah, he might. Okay, he's actually going to scout it here with the
And double
SCV.
SCV
So,
scout, yeah.
and now there's. I can't imagine if he sends all this down there that he can hold. There are only 3 medics with this large amount of Marines. We have another 12 Marines about to be added to it. And yeah, with no lurkers here, Hydra's only just about to hatch down here. I mean, we'll see if he can buy enough time, but I don't see it happening. He is setting up for a counterattack, though, while he's going to be losing this base, potentially, so that could be a really strong play. Hydra is just now starting to
not
murk.
moving medics down with this army. Okay, now I was about to say, now he's moving his army now. So yeah, I don't know if he's gonna hold this. The Hydra is gonna get there in time. Meanwhile, there's gonna be that backstab there at the front here for Urban. So you know, maybe it might be a tit for that. Like, take my third, but I'm gonna take your natural.
Yeah, and he actually might not be able to get this third because these 2 lurkers are gonna finish in the back. I don't know, that egg's going down pretty fast, though. I mean, there's a million Marines here.
+1. But if the lurkers get there in time and burrow, we'll see. I mean, it's such a narrow choke. This is the one bad thing I hate about maps like this, where you have the eggs there. And yeah, the Marines getting held for hold 50 Marines basically right there, and the lurkers are killing supply depots. And now Moonrise is mega supply block, forced to build bunkers now as well.
Yeah, very, very tight hold there for Urban. And yeah, with this counterattack, getting... Wow, that was like a perfect rush forward from Moonrise. That was kind of crazy. He was going before those up burrowed. Yeah, is at least going to deflect this, but, you know, like you said, losing all those depots, a pretty heavy supply block. We're still only at 35 SCVs. So
but there's no lurkers at the natural. Moonrise could go for a bust here. He scanned. I don't know if he knows that there's no lurkers underneath that Overlord. He might be scared about that. But with this many Marines, even if there are like 3 lurkers under it, if you get a good spread and run the medics in first, you can definitely bust it. Here we go. He's going to go for the bust. The Sunkens are going to go down instantly. The lurkers are not there in time. Muta's going to try to come out here and help defend here. Lurkers are trying to come in from the back as well to get on top of the Marines. But man, there's so many Marines. It's just, I don't know if he can hold. It doesn't look like it. The lurkers are not even done yet. First lurker pops out, but it's going to have to run away. Yeah, drones are evacuating back into the main, and the Marines are going to take down this natural here.
Yeah, pretty crazy call from Moonrise to just actually test the front and kind of punish Urban for kind of over, you know, kind of forgetting to make more lurkers, basically. So it just gets to rush into the natural, kill everything here. So there's a ton of bio left. There is this one half-dead lurker on the high ground, but I mean, this is already so much damage. And yeah, Urban just going to go ahead and call GG. Moonrise going to take the 1-0 lead. Man,
wow,
it's back and
pulled
forth.
the trigger there really well.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny because they both had the same train of thought. I was like, I had my scoreboard off, whatever. But it's like they had the same train of thought because Urban's like, I'm going to go counter your base while you're killing this base. And then Moonrise's like, yeah, well, I'm going to counter this base while you're killing my base.
Yeah, just didn't have the lurkers, man. I think, yeah, as you said, Urban maybe a little bit overcommitting in terms of the backstab. I really like the idea of it, but I think he just needed 2 more lurkers back at home to just be, you know, playing really safe and hold.
Mm-hmm. All right, hang on, let me put my cats out. You're being obnoxious. You wanna go outside, buddy? Get out of my room. Bit of an oversight. Is that what I was trying to think? There was a word I was trying to think of, and it became so important to me that I stopped talking because I really wanted to figure out what it was. We never figured it out. All right. Of course, I didn't do TVB. Of course. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving into game 2 here of Urban versus Moonrise. They did pick Radion for the second map. And they did get close spawns this time instead of cross spawn. So be interested to see. Already it's a little bit... I actually like it when Zergs do this. So a lot of people say that like Zergs sending their Overlord the wrong way, right? But I kind of disagree with this because by sending this Overlord in this direction, if they are top left then you can get to the natural from the top right, and their bottom left, then your second Overlord can go over there. So I think this is a more consistent way of getting your Overlord to the kind of high ground there outside of the natural.
Yeah, and it's actually, you know, you're saying this. I think it's actually correct. Sometimes you'll see the Overlord kind of go directly in between to like this 12 o'clock from this position. And I think that they get there in time to see the SCV if the SCV goes horizontal scout. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen every game, but it can be a meta game in terms of if you expect your opponent to horizontal scout. If you don't see it, then you kind of have an idea that they should be at bottom left.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, this just seems like a really consistent way of getting scouting with your Overlord in a way where your Overlord is in a safe position to get to the high ground. Because a lot of times, like, say they are like top right or something, and you send your first Overlord to the bottom left, it actually gets really difficult to get an Overlord to that high ground without losing it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The only somewhat question is sometimes if the Overlord... Now, the way that Urban's moving his Overlord is not susceptible to 8 racks pressure, where the Marines might find the Overlord and just kill it, which is super bad for Zerg. But sometimes if you do move it kind of like to the middle and 12 o'clock, you might be a little bit skeptical in terms of the 8 racks with the Marines popping out. But in this case, you know, that hasn't happened. So pretty good here from Urban regardless.
Yeah, Moonrise is going to get that first scout. He did go for this wall again. And we'll see it because he scouts the 12 hatch if he just wants to go straight for that 15cc. A couple love taps on the SCV as it gets in here.
Yeah, we'll see how he does it.
Because
you know, some SCV or some Terrans like to go for one Marine and just go 17cc, which it looks like he's doing this game because they just hate when the drone harass comes through and starts messing up the SCV.
Yeah, I guess that's true. For me, I usually just kind of greed for it a bit. I will make the Marine if the drone shows up, but a lot of times, yeah, if I scout the 15cc, and especially in this spawn, I would have assumed that his Overlord would have gone left first, so I would have just assumed that there is no drone coming.
It looks like Urman's going to go for a 3-hatch style this game. It has a drone that's scouting cross map. I was actually wondering if he was going to make the third base up there as a kind of a hidden base, so go for a third base 3-hatch style instead. Which would have been kind of interesting, but instead he's just gone for the in-base 3-hatch.
I think Moonrise going to pressure with 3 Marines. He cut a depot to do this, so he's been supply blocked for an eternity. That being said, it looks like we're just going to continue making Marines. We're not going to push out yet. But that was a pretty big supply block at 18 supply just to get these extra Marines out. So I'm wondering if he's planning on pushing with a handful of Marines.
Yeah, he's even got the gas second racks out, so looks like it's going to be a stim timing of some sort with the Academy. I mean, it is really good here on horizontal spawn Radion, which is typically what I would try to do in these spawns. So yeah, definitely trying to probably play a more aggressive style this game. Yeah,
that being said, we're just continuing to pump Marines right now. Nothing crazy looks like. He's probably just going to save up for this ACAD timing. Yeah, I mean, he's cutting a lot of SCVs just to get as many Marines out as possible. We're pretty much tied on workers, which usually is not the case in this matchup from the very beginning. So he's just going to have a ton of units, though, when he goes for this push.
Yeah, he's got 10 SCVs mining, so he's got barely 1 SCV per patch at the main, and so he didn't even bother transferring any SCVs from the main to the natural because there's like basically no point to doing it. But yeah, he might just go for a pre-stim here and just go with these 8 Marines that he's got. I mean, it'd be really, really strong here. You've got 2 more Marines coming out. It's gonna be a 10 Marine stim timing probably, which is just massive. I mean, you might even need to throw down a third Sunken to deal with it.
Yeah, I think he's gonna need at least 3. We'll see. Urban is going to scout this here soon and see the Marine count. As Overlord, unfortunately, isn't in position to see how many Marines he has. He does see it blinking the whole time, but I don't think he realizes how much it is. And here the links poke forward, and he's going to see all these Marines, and he's going to be like, oh my god.
Yep, instantly reacting with the Sunkens.
Yeah, there it is.
Puts down 1, but he's going to need a second for sure, at minimum.
Yeah, he wants to get that Spire started before he does the Sunkens, it looks like, but it's going to be pretty close. I mean, it's coming across the map now. We have a single Sunken here, and this is looking incredibly dangerous for Moonrise, or Urban, sorry. He's going to need at least 1 more Sunken, if not 2 more.
Yeah, I would start second because one of them might get picked off before the other one finishes. So getting the third would be at least the safest option here. But man, this is going to be such a close timing here. Yeah, stims forward but prematurely in order to get on top of the Sunken before the second Sunken finishes right now. Yeah, this might be just game because there's just not enough Lings right now. Lings are still slow. Ling speed hasn't even finished yet.
Yeah, Ling speed finishes now, but I mean, there's still too many Marines left over. The Sunken's not even done, and it looks like Urban's just dead, honestly. Like, I don't see a way to come back from this. Spire is not even halfway done, or a little over halfway done.
Firebots too. He can't even make Zerglings to deal with this now. Yeah, this is just game. I mean, this is a really good timing here from Moonrai. This is something that I know First Law likes to do a lot, where he just cuts SCVs and stuff just to try to mess with the Zerg as much as possible, and then Marbon just leaves.
No GG. Yeah, I feel like he really did not respect the amount of bio being made there. He scouted it, but he wanted to prioritize the Spire, and I think at that point when you see that much, you gotta know. You know, you have to try to stay alive. But GG,
yeah,
Moonrai gonna take the 2-0. Well, I thought there were 3 games. Looks like I was tricked.
We can do another one if you got another like quicker one.
Let me have a look here. You guys enjoy the black screen for a second. See what I got. Actually curious. The third game was a game between. I'm so confused. You know what? I think everybody's done. I think that was game 3 just now.
Oh, did they actually play on Death Valley?
I think they played on Death Valley and they titled that map as 3. Okay, that's exactly what it was. So they did play on Death Valley, and I was given the wrong replay names.
Ah, I see.
Okay. How can I fix this? Let me think of how I can edit this in the video to put on YouTube. Let me think for a second. Okay, so we can cast. We can fix this. Okay. So if we cast the next one, we can pretend that this is game 2, and then I can just make a little clip at the beginning of the next game and just kind of fit that one at the end of this cast.
So is this game 1 or 2 then? The Death Valley game should be game 1, right?
Death Valley, I think, was game 1.
Okay, so we'll just pretend this is
we'll
the
pretend
cast
this is game
1.
2. Okay.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we'll take the one from game 1. That can be our game 1. We'll cast this as game 2, and then I will edit this portion in between those 2 games that we just casted. That's what I'll do. And then just put a little blurb at the beginning of the third one to explain the confusion.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna have to pretend. Awkward. I don't know, maybe I should pre-watch these some, but or like double check them at least, not pre-watch them per se. Because this is actually not the first time that they gave it to me in the wrong order.
I don't know why they just don't like title them properly.
Well, the replays are titled 1, 2, 3. And this one is 3, which obviously is not correct. Because I just looked at the tournament, the results too, and it is 1 to 2.
Yeah, so weird.
I don't know, actually. Maybe we just leave it as a 2-0. Nobody's going to know the difference. I think maybe that's just better.
Yeah, we could just do that. Although I'm kind of sad we're not casting a Death Valley game now.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what happens, because that does mean Urban won this game. I kind of just want to watch the replay. Okay, I'm just going to leave it as a 2-0 then. Whatever.
Okay, yeah, it works.
Yeah. I think trying to like fake casts and doing all that work, it just doesn't. I just need to double check the replays from now on. Make sure everything's in the correct order. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else that's quick then. Okay. That one's 30 minutes or so. You down for a TVT? It's not actually that long, so.
Yeah, I'm sure there's 1-1-1s happening or something.
Yeah. I actually like TVT, so.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I like the more action-packed. Like action-packed TVTs are actually super awesome, but it's when it's like the tanks staring at each other for half an hour is where I'm just like, okay, this is such a boring
Yeah.
matchup.
All right, so we're gonna do a Wolfix versus Tank then.
Nice.
Oh yeah, tonight will be a good night for me to review that BGH article on stream that I wanted to do. All right. Not TVB. Disappointed in Wolfix.
Oh god, and the colors are terrible.
Yeah, these are pretty rough colors for this map.
Oh my god, and there's like similar too, so it's hard to see on the map. Oh god.
Alright guys, we're jumping into the round of 16 match between Wolfix and Tank, also known as Chris Ball. It's going to be a TVT, but always excited to watch Wolfix play. I'm a big Wolfix supporter. But yeah, as we were kind of just talking about, these colors on this desert tile map might be a little bit hard to follow depending on what goes on in this game. We have this kind of light vomit color versus brown on a red tile set, red-brown tile set, so apologize if we miss things, but we will do our best. It can definitely be tough if we get to like drop chips and things like that in this game to follow everything that's happening.
Yeah, and I do expect dropships on this map. I mean, this map screams airplay with how the map is set up. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I know that. Not sure if our series was casted yet, but that was a pretty fun game on Death Valley. So stay tuned for that one, guys, when that happens. That was really fun.
Yeah, I think this is a really good TVT map. I think the other matchup, other matchups, I can see this map being kind of, I think it kind of blows, to be honest with you. But I think for TVT, this is a good map. Same way I feel about like Monty Hall and Menstrual, right? I think those are actually really good TVT maps and not so great with some of the other matchups.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just think, you know, the more terrain stuff you've got, TVT just gets better and better because I think it becomes such a thinking game, right, between the two players where you really have to, I mean, TVT is already such a positional matchup, but with so many different terrain features and stuff like that, like it just gets so much more positional and it just really highlights kind of the awesome parts of TVT.
I agree, and maps like this too, another thing about it, with so many different ways of attacking, like you have the different attack paths. When it comes to drop play, there's so many different zones and stuff you can control with the drops, like high grounds and things like that everywhere. It actually rewards aggressive play, so I think that's what makes it really good for TVT, is when there's so many options, it rewards you for being an aggressor, so you don't want to sit back and turtle. It's just not good to do that on these kinds of maps.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that there's like so many little pods and zones, as you were saying, it almost feels like a game of like Go, if people have ever played that game, where you kind of like start by having so many little different like pieces scattered around the board, but then they start coming together to kind of have this holistic strategy that comes into play. So really cool. It's gonna be really fun to see this game go down.
Yeah, already we're seeing a bit of a big discrepancy here. This factory from Chris Ball was a good bit later. Wolfix's came down at 231. I mean, it's not going to be that big of a deal potentially. It only really matters if it's going to be like multiple Vulture play coming out of Wolfix. But in those cases, that extra like 10 seconds or so can actually make a big difference. But it looked like Chris was like really focused on harassing the SCV, trying to get that kill, but does not get it because of the Marine coming out. Gets chased off, and we'll see. Wolfix made 2 Marines. Chris Ball, or Tank, sorry, I'll call him Tank. Tank made a single Marine. We'll see if we're going to go for this Vulture pressure or not. See how many Vultures we want to make before the add-on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I probably expect only one from Wolfix here, because it looks like he's trying to mine out the back door right now, but instead, actually, he's going to put the command center, never mind it, right in front. SCV is going to go in and see the command center. Wolfix did not see it, but he probably saw the guys off gas, so he expects the command center as well going down. So far, they're playing the map pretty standard so far, although Wolfix is starting to open up that back door just a little bit. He had mined a couple of patches from the back door, so we'll see if that comes into play later on in the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually was worried he was going to full mine it out, because that can be something really dangerous. In this game, it wouldn't have mattered, but if you're expanding to the space up here and then you also mine out your back, if there's like vultures or something that are being made on this other side, that could be kind of brutal. In this case, like I said, it's not really going to matter. He's going to go back to mining out those patches now. So he's just kind of preparing for that third base, I guess, or maybe setting up for a different attack path.
Yeah, maybe. The Rax could also probably see if Tank decided to take that bottom base as well, and you know, you'd have a way for vultures to get over across the map really quickly here. We do see that Wolfix has gone for 2-factory mine opener with these, and Tank is going for the 2-factory Goliath opener, which is actually a very popular build, very aggressive build, because he can use these Goliaths and push across the map, because it's just so good in the early game.
Yeah, I kind of like the Goliath build. I don't do it very often. But it's not weak against anything, you know? Like, it even does pretty good against 1-1-1 pushes, honestly. I think it's actually just a really good defensive build in general. It's not really that good at being aggressive either, but you're not really in danger of dying in anything. A lot of players go Wraith, that kind of thing, right? So you're not going to be in danger of that. Gonna come across the map with these 4 vultures. It is only 3 vultures currently for Wolfix coming out here to lay mines as the vultures show up. So gonna take a few free hits here already. And yeah, this is a tough start for Wolfix.
Yeah, not good. He's going to lose all these vultures here, and that means that this push coming across the map here from Tank is going to be even more powerful than it really should be. I mean, there are 3 mines there. They are kind of grouped a little bit tightly together, so if the Goliaths do push, you know, it's potential that he's going to be able to get some, you know, mine hits onto those Goliaths. But 2 vultures sneaking in here, but luckily for Wolfix, he's already got 2 more vultures popping out the factory just at the right time. We'll see if he loses even a single SCV. It looks like probably, maybe the vulture's getting around. Never mind. Nice. Well done from Wolfix to defend.
Yeah, actually turned out pretty decent for Wolfix overall. And he sees with his barracks, he got full scouting information. He sees a Goliath, sees a 3rd factory. It's just going to be this mass Goliath. And in response, he just made a few extra vultures. I really like this, so he can kind of flood the map with mines a little bit. And he's going to go double add-on tanks behind this.
Yeah, the only downside for him is obviously he's going to lose his barracks here, but he's just going to probably just restart that. He looks like doesn't even need a 3rd factory at this point. He's going double machine shop as well. Nope, he's going to go ahead and drop the barracks, actually.
Yeah, and I actually really like his position right now. He can play pretty defensive here and take this 3rd base that he's already got, you know, mined out and ready for free. I think going up to 4 factories now, so he's definitely not planning on expanding anytime soon. Gonna try and get control here, maybe try to take the high ground. Only just now getting his add-on, though, so it's gonna be a while before he's got tanks out here.
Yeah, gonna be a little risky. Wolfix has done a reasonable job in terms of spreading out these mines so that when the Goliaths walk forward here, they might take some damage. And oh, here we go! Oh, huge mine connections right there. That's exactly what I was worried about. Yeah, all these Goliaths go down to just mines. Absolute massacre there.
That could not have gone worse for Tank. I actually can't believe he just kind of A-moved through there. This is super dangerous when you know there's... Like, he saw mines going down when he first came out with the vultures. But yeah, he went for it. All the vultures all the Goliath get cleaned up. He killed what, like 2 or 3 vultures, like after the fight even, not even during the fight. So Wolfix now in a fantastic position. All those Goliath getting reset. Still no tanks coming out or out yet for Tank. And what are we at? 3 tanks now for, yeah, 4 now for Wolfix even.
Yeah, he's in a great spot right now. He's already prepped. He's even playing the long term, as you said, mining out the back door, whereas Tank hasn't done that yet. And so he's already prepped in terms of, you know, ready to take the 3rd base. I mean, he might even take the 3rd base at the top right anyways, because he's going to have so much map control here with these initial tanks. Although he hasn't been aggressive in terms of pushing across the next pod, where Tank is starting to slowly get some more units out. But he's going to move forward here. He's even got 3 SCVs pulled, so he can even use these guys to come forward.
He did scan forward looking for mines. Wolfix actually going to walk into this while on the low ground, so that's a pretty big disadvantage for him. And yeah, I was going to say, I'd love to see him back up here to get back to the high ground and re-siege, which is exactly what he does. Targets the tank immediately, so that is going to go down. And Goliath going to jump forward on top of these tanks. Going to clear 1 tank, looks like a 2nd tank. Actually going to get...
Oh, nice repair.
Okay, yeah, really good repair, actually. I thought we were going to clear all the tanks, but yeah, these 4 SCVs coming in clutch, saving that tank. And with this, he might be able to push now to the high ground of Tank and just kind of bottleneck him even further into his natural.
Yep, even move 1 tank there. 1 tank goes down, but he's going to be able to get on top here. He's just got too many units here that even though he kind of took that fight from the low ground, it just doesn't even matter. He's going to be able to at least get on top of the high ground there and hopefully secure this position here. But maybe he might go forward. I mean, he could take the high ground above the command center here. That's a potential.
Yeah, he can take his time getting there, right? It looks like he's going to try and hold this high ground first, which I really like this play. He's extra Goliath coming in to support the tank. And the high ground working wonders. I mean, the tank barely taking damage. I think he's going to win this fight unless this tank lands a shot, which it does not.
Yeah, he's targeted down the tank. Really well done there. Both Goliaths are going to go down here for tank as well. I mean, Wolfix in a very commanding position right now. He's just going to rally units across the map here and slowly inch forward with these siege tanks. And yeah, tank just not able to kind of hold right now. I mean, losing those Goliaths so early on, he really should have had like another 4 or 5 Goliaths. And oh, even the Vulture's getting inside the main as well right now, laying some mines on the siege tank that just popped out as well. This is really great right now for Wolfix.
Yeah, I really like this play to prevent tanks from getting into a defensive position. So that tank just cannot get forward here. It's going to try to move. Immediately dives to a mine. 2 more vultures coming to support these tanks. And yeah, this is game. I mean, you see in the supply, tank supply getting so low.
Yeah, Wolfix has been continuously making SCVs behind this as well. Tank unable to keep up. I mean, he's starting to float a lot of minerals as well. He just can't produce enough. He needed to go up to 6 factories at some point here. But unfortunately for him, man, these mines doing so much work here, killing off another Goliath and more tanks reinforcing. That's going to be the last tank going down as well. Tank's going to have to evacuate this natural. But yeah, I was going to say probably just GG instead.
Yeah, nice non-stop pressure from Wolfix there after he gets that advantage. I really enjoyed that. That's the aggression we want to see in TVT.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what comes down to. High-level Terrans just know when they, we joke about this a lot, but sometimes, you just got to step on their neck and you snap it sometimes, like if they present you their neck, you got to do it. So you can't just sit back and play defensively and let them get back in the game.
Yeah, good stuff.
We were joking about that actually when we were watching the semifinal matches for our CPL team, and when the player was like got an advantage, we were just like screaming like snap his neck.
You know, it reminds me of so I used to do, like, my whole family did wrestling in high school, and my dad was always trying to teach us to like get into like that killer mode, where it's like you're not like playing a sport, you're trying to like really hurt the guy or beat each other up, like you're really fighting, for your life. You gotta get in that mentality, And he always said the way he psyched himself up, he always said, he would say, rip off their head and puke down their throat. Like that. This was the mentality he tried to preach to us. It's so funny, dude. As a kid, it didn't really like strike me as goofy until I got older and I thought about it. I was like, man, that's a crazy thing to say. I gotta fix my scroll wheel. Okay, guys, we're hopping into game 2 of Wolfix versus Tank. As we saw, Wolfix taking that first game pretty cleanly, honestly. Very aggressive, just non-stop pushing his advantage there until he got the win pretty early, which is great to see. So here on Radeon, as always, everybody seems to pick Radeon for their second map, just because out of the current map pool, it's just the most standard map. It's just a good balanced map in general anyway. It's just very comfortable for a lot of players.
Yeah, most balanced map. I mean, we'll see how the statistics hold up, but it could be one of the most balanced maps of all time at this point. I think, ironically enough, this map was sponsored by, I think it was AMD, to make a map, because that's why they have like their logo, I think, in the middle or something like that. And I know it's for the AMD Radeon. They had like a computer part or whatever, and they were sponsoring that. But yeah, anyways, good job to the map makers for making such an awesome map.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good map. Like you said, it may be the most balanced map ever.
Yeah,
I know it's all very close to 50% around the board.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know, like, if you look at any other 4-player map, like Zerg versus Terran is such a bad matchup for Zergs in terms, at least at the very high level, right, on Elo board. But on this map, man, they're 50-50 basically. I think it's like 49.8 last time I checked. So really awesome in terms of, getting a 4-player map that's actually balanced for the ZVT matchup.
Wait, 4-player is bad for Zerg, typically?
Yeah, 4-player in ZVT, if you look at all of the 4-player maps, it's traditionally hovering around 40 to 42% Zerg versus Terran. Every other matchup can be balanced, but it's just Zerg versus Terran.
Why is that? That actually doesn't make sense to me. I'm obviously not understanding something. I would have thought bigger maps would be better for Zerg because of better expansions, and you get more time to like dog with their muta and stuff.
Yeah, it's actually a good question. You'd have to ask some of the other players a little bit more. I've talked to Hawk about this sometimes, and he just says like corner bases actually help Terran a lot because they can set up the siege tanks over there and play defensively, and also depending on the map in terms of like where the third base locations are, it really helps Terran as well. So on Radeon, third base is a little bit further away compared to a map like let's say Vermeer or Citadel, where the third bases are actually quite close and defensible.
Yeah,
and
I
so
guess
it
that
makes
makes
it a lot
sense.
easier. Yeah, I mean it's just small things, right? Obviously for the balances.
Yeah, I didn't think about it from the Terran perspective, the base being a little bit further away. Yeah, because to me this map is very like a Vermeer-esque. When I think about the third base and the way the layout is, to me it felt Vermeer-esque, but a little bit harder to defend. So that actually makes a lot of sense then, when you put it that way. Alright, so once again, factory a lot faster here from Wolfix. I wasn't watching, so I don't know if this was an 11 gas or not. I feel like it must be with this much of a gap between the production time.
Yeah, I think it was an 11. I think the factory went down before the depot here for Wolfix, whereas it was the opposite for Tank. The second depot was down before the factory, so it should have been a 12 gas here for Tank. And we actually have an SCV up here for Wolfix up at the top left part of the map here. It's got 100 gas. When this factory finishes, will he drop down to Starport maybe? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the reason I wasn't sure about the 11 gas is because he's up an SCV, which doesn't seem right to me. But
yeah, definitely a little confusing here. And Tank's SCV is going to come in here, is going to scout the CC timing, which Wolfix is going to put down. So kind of disguising this build a little bit. So, Tank might just assume, oh, this is going to be totally normal, totally natural with the gameplay. But, little does he know, Wolfix has a Starport cooking right now.
yeah, this is actually kind of crazy. They're literally dead even, except Wolfix has an extra Starport over his opponent. The factory just now coming down for Tank. So I don't know what went so right for Wolfix or what went so wrong for Tank, but he was basically an entire Starport worth of resources behind Wolfix.
Yeah, not sure. I mean, that one SCV could be the difference right now. Now he's even 2 workers down. I'm really not sure what's going on here with Tank. He's just not producing SCVs out of his command center right now. It's very, very strange to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I think he also missed did he miss a depot? He's on 26 out of 26.
Okay, we have a depot on the bottom left, but about to finish. My scroll wheel's broken, guys. You're gonna have to. I apologize for it going all over the place.
I was like trying to find it for the longest time. Okay, yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, I wanted to hit the hotkey to remove the map, but I'm not confident doing that. I don't want to accidentally show the replay status. Yeah, we do have these vultures coming in. They are going to get some vulture kills, and they're going to be able to deny the CC, which is great for Tank. But this Wraith is about to finish, and it does have Cloak on the way. We're going with the 3-fact vulture for Tank. So it's going to be a little bit hard for Wolfix to hold, though, against the amount of vultures that are going to be coming out against him. I mean, we're on 1 factory production versus 3 factory.
Yeah, so the problem is as you said, it's gonna be kind of like a battle, right? It's gonna be a ground battle versus an air battle. And so can the vultures do enough damage to Wolfix while Wolfix's Wraith does enough damage to Tank? And we'll just have to see how it works right now. The first Wraith does come in, so I might expect Tank to probably try to get an armory up as soon as possible right now to get some Goliaths out. But he also needs an academy because he's got to be afraid of the cloak as well.
Okay, it's Q. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to expect Cloak or not. We'll see if he does prepare for that. His vultures are actually running out on the map now looking for the starport. He should be able to find it. Yeah, he is going to head that way and find it. So he's going to see the add-on. He'll at least know that it is going to be Cloak. So that's kind of a nice spot for him at least to get that information. Second Wraith is out now. And I mean, Cloak's already done. So I guess it really doesn't matter that he spotted it because he's already dealing with it.
Yeah, Armory's on the way, but no Academy right now, and he did see that there was Cloak, so I'm a little bit, curious why he hasn't dropped the Academy yet to get the scanners up, but right now he's speed's finished. He's going to send these Vultures down. He's got to be like an all-in, basically. He's got to get some damage done, but Wolfix smartly building 2 supply depots to help wall, bringing SCVs off the line. He knows that this is where he needs to hold right now with these Vultures. Yeah,
this is going to be a really hard hold, though. I mean, there's so many Vultures here. We have nothing in production for Wolfix either. We went for add-on to try and get this tank out. So he's going to take a ton of damage. He's going to do a lot of damage. And yeah, it's going to be hard to say where we're going to be when the dust settles, but the Vulture's obviously going to kill SCVs way, way faster than these Wraith are, especially this many Vultures. And this is looking pretty dire for Wolfix right now.
Yeah, I want to say it's how, you know what it could be. It could honestly turn into a game where Wolfix wins because both sides lose all of their SCVs, but because Wolfix is the Wraiths, the Vultures can't shoot up because all of these SCVs are going to go down. Mine is about to finish too before the tank is... Okay, the tank pops out right in time. Mine's about to finish as well for these Vultures here, but will he be able to kick down his tank with the mines? Yeah, I think he will be able to. So he's going to pick up every single last SCV, but tank is not going to have anything to produce to hit air. So he's actually going to lose every SCV, but he's still going to win the game.
Well, yeah, we have Goliath just about to pop right now.
Okay, but he doesn't have scan is the problem. He's
Yeah,
got
there's
cloak.
no scans. And we're continuing to make Wraith as well. I mean, yeah, with the cloak, he might actually be able to kill. He's got a decent bit of energy stored up. Gonna target the SCVs right now, actually. But I mean, Wolfix... They're both dead, but right now Wolfix is more dead. So, it's really hard for me to see how he's gonna win from here. I don't think he has enough energy. Kill all the Goliath.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Wolfix, yeah, doesn't have... he's got one more Wraith in production right now, so he's going to go up to 5 Wraiths here, but the Goliaths are starting to go down, and Tank doesn't have enough money to make any more. These are the last remaining Goliaths he's got. He might be able to afford one more once these SCVs continue to gather some more minerals here, but I don't know, man. It's really close.
Dude, is Wolfix going to win the game? Like, this is crazy.
I think so. He has 0 SCVs. He literally has 0 SCVs right now.
Yeah. It's hard to even know what to say right now. I mean, he's just trying to kill enough SCVs so that he can't make any more Goliath. I mean, if he kills all the SCVs right now, he actually can't make any more SCVs. He has nothing in production to cancel. If these die before he gets 50 minerals, he actually can just leave and come back with more energy.
Right, and he can also just lift off his command centers here and just float them into unhittable territory, and so that the Vultures and Goliaths can't even hit them. So he can just wait until he gets enough energy, come in, hit the Goliaths, as you said. And I think he's going to be able to do it, man. I think these... Oh, man, the Wraiths are about to lose on all their energy, but he's got 50 more minerals right now building another SCV. The Wraiths are going to lose their energy, but he's just going to probably have to come back. He's going to have to lift off his buildings and then come back.
I think he wins from here. Yeah, he just leaves, get his energy back, comes back, and does it again.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe this is what's happening right now. And now the Wraiths are just going to come over here and hit the Vultures right now. Wolfix even banked up 350 minerals, so he can always just wait until these Vultures either leave or he can float a command center to a different location and try to hide it. The Wraiths are coming back in here to the main again for Tank, killing off one more SCV. One SCV remains right now. Tank's got 2 SCVs. One of the SCVs running away for dear life right now. This is incredible.
This is why we like TVT right here.
Oh, man.
It's over. Wolfix is actually going to win when he hasn't had an SCV for like 3 minutes now.
Yeah, this is
it's
incredible
over.
stuff.
Yeah, it's over. He just banks his energy up and he goes back again.
Yep, and that's what he's doing right now. He's got some of his more healthy energy rates are at 45 energy right now, but he probably wants to wait until all 4 can afford a cloak with some time to spare. Tank right now has got 2 SCVs mining, desperately trying to mine right now, but here come the Wraiths. I think they're poking around to try to find where the Goliaths are right now. But yeah, did he afford something else? Oh, he made another Vulture. That's
yeah, he's making Vultures to hide him in the corner here.
Yeah, interesting.
I'd like to see him cancel these depots, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got money there in the depots, which are going to go down to the Vultures, but he killed off one of the Goliaths here. SCVs are trying to repair the Goliath, and now the Wraiths are going to target down the SCVs. Now here come 2 more Wraiths. Oh, I think this is it. I think Tank is probably realizing that he has nothing to kill these Wraiths.
This is crazy.
He's got exactly 50 minerals, but Wolfix can always come back and find where the SCVs are. This is... What a silly game.
Yeah, he just wins. He lifts and he wins. This is awesome. This is the kind of TVTs I want right here. Both games. Yeah, it was crazy. Really well played by Wolfix. You know, a lot of times when I see people like in these like really like kind of niche situations, I always feel like I'm watching people like make the wrong mistake, like wrong choices, right? And obviously it's very easy as the observer to be like, oh, you should have done this, could have done this, like this would be really smart, etc. But Wolfix did exactly what he should have done. You don't see that a lot of times in these like crazy moments when people get like flustered or they're scrambling or something. So it's like really nice to see Wolfix basically do just everything completely correct to guarantee that he wins the game.
You know what's funny actually is Wolfix can't actually make an SCV right now because he's supply block because of the 2 vultures that he made extra. So he'd have to kill the vultures to afford another SCV. But right now he's got one wraith flying around the map, just trying to figure out if there's a proxy because he's probably wondering like, why is Tank still in this game if he can't make any more SCVs and he's got nothing to shoot my wraiths right now. So, but he's gonna check everything. He's gonna be like, oh, there's no units, man. Like, why are you still in this game?
Yeah, I think Tank's just in disbelief that he lost the game like this. I mean, again, like, if I were to say, like, what should Tank have done differently? He queued up so many extra vultures before his Goliath. He needed to make the Goliath sooner, and I cannot understand why we did not drop that eBay as soon as we saw Cloak.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Academy
or an Academy,
eBay,
yeah,
you just need something to give you detection, man, and he just didn't do that, and that's what cost him the game. And it's crazy that Wolfix went for the Cloak, because had he not gone for Cloak, this legitimately would have been Tank's win, because the Goliath would have sat in the mineral line and waited until the raids come back. And so he had to have Cloak. He needed exactly Cloak to win in the situation, and he had it.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfix just sitting here slowly chipping away at him, just checking around the map with his Wraith, like you said, to make sure there was no proxy or anything like that. And yeah, Wolfix just kind of sitting here like, come on, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Tank, maybe a little bit upset, potentially. I mean, he knows that he can't win. He has enough to make this SCV. I don't know what he's hoping for. Like, maybe Wolfix will, like, fall asleep or something, then he can go back to mining, but he's just running around these vultures, making sure Wolfix isn't mining, but Wolfix doesn't need to mine. And yeah, there we go. There's the GG. Well played.
GG.
And Wolfix is going to take one of the craziest 2-0 wins I've ever seen before.
That was amazing. And also, if you looked at the tab at the very end, the endgame tab, Tank had advantages in every single category, but still ends up losing because he has nothing to shoot up at the end.
That's amazing. Losing the game in a mirror matchup with the higher score. That is a terrible, terrible feeling.
Well, all right. That's it, man. Wolfix winning 2-0. Incredible series.
Good stuff. It's good to finally knock a couple out.
Yeah, that's good. Dude, that game was so funny.
I love that, dude. I need to message Wolfix.
I need to message him too. That was amazing.
All right, I'm gonna go over this BGH article.
All right, man.
I'm curious about it.
Sounds good. I gotta head to bed. Gotta shower and head to bed. So that was fun casting. Should be. Let me see my schedule. I should be free pretty much all the time this week.
Good.
So just let me know when you want to cast and whatnot. Yeah, I don't really have any plans from here until Friday. Saturday, I think I should be also free in the evening as well. Sunday's the only day where I might have stuff in the evening, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to, we need to, I need to start knocking these out, so I'll try to hit you up pretty much every day that I'm feeling up to it.
Yeah.
We got a lot to
The
go,
nice thing, at least, is as we get closer to the end, the casts go by faster because there's just less every round. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, doing 16 games on that, or 16 matches rather, on that first round was killer.
Yeah, it's just so many to do, and 16 is still a lot. Like round of 16 is still a decent amount, but yeah, well, I mean, once we hit round of 8, it'll go by super fast. So,
and it's also good because like the quality just goes up round to round as well in general.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. Good cast. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Yep. See ya. Have a good night.
See ya. All right, guys. We are going to do something a little interesting. Wait, did my stream just drop? No. It says it did. Alright, we're still live. Everything's okay. Yeah, okay. This is being weird. Ugh. Sylvia, you hearing? I see you lurking. I don't know if you can hear me. Also, land value if you're still here. Thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate it, brother. Oh, he's joining games right now. We're gonna scream at him. Okay, let's add... a little thing here. Is it this? Yeah, here we go. Perfect. Yo, SK, thanks for the raid, man. Appreciate it. Alright, we are going to go over Soviet Kingdom's BGH article here. Definitely not conflict of interest with this raid, yeah. I didn't realize you were streaming, that's funny. Alright, I have not read any of this. I read like the first paragraph and I was like, you know what? I should do this on stream. I think that would make a lot more sense. So I don't really know what it's about, but somebody pinged me. I didn't even know you had put it out. Somebody pinged me a couple days after you released it. And they were like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And I was like, oh, I didn't know he did that. We should check it out on stream. So here we are. Obviously, I'll give my own input as we go. But yeah, I'm curious. Very curious. All right, introduction. I think everything should be fine. Okay. In the world of Team StarCraft, there are 3 broad communities. Fastest map with its stacked minerals and oodles of geysers. Low money, mostly played on 4-player 1v1 maps. I'll throw hunters in here as well. And in between these two extremes lies BGH. BGH stands for Big Game Hunters, and it's essentially just hunters, but with more resources. BGH is often regarded by the ignorant as a Protoss playground where 60 APM guys in the chat go to mindlessly mass zealots, cannons, and carriers. Bad Terrans go to build walls with holes in them, and bad Zergs go to make creep colonies that will never grow up. True, though. Actually true. There actually is such a misconception about BGH players. Anybody who's played a few public BGH games knows this is perfectly accurate, but when decent players play BGH, there's actually quite a bit of strategy and skill required to consistently win. Even teams of very strong 1v1 players can lose a lot to experienced BGH teams, as we saw ourselves the other day. We played against 2 A-rank players and an S-rank player, like ladder players. And they played against me, Hollywood, and Soviet Kingdom. And we beat them, I think it was SK, right? We beat them, I think it was 16-0 or 12-0, something like that. So, it's actually funny because when we played those games, they genuinely couldn't understand like what was going wrong. I was in a call with them like on and off. I joined between games, and they were saying things like they were like starting to argue and get upset. And one guy said something like, "We're like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and we're losing to a high school basketball team." Like they genuinely could not understand what the problem was. A couple of them couldn't. Hawk actually, I feel like, had a pretty good grasp on things, but, you know, just for non-BGH players, I didn't realize that the actual amount of depth that goes into it and how micro-intensive BGH really is. I always talk about how I feel like my BGH stuff genuinely transferred into almost Moonrise. I didn't want to point fingers specifically, but it was part of the problem for sure. But I genuinely think that a lot of my BGH experience genuinely helped with my ladder. Because one thing that I learned how to do is handle like niche situations, right? Which a lot of ladder is niche. When it came to like the more like, you know, information-based gameplay on ladder, like 1v1s, that kind of thing, I definitely struggled, like hardcore. But as far as like niche situations or like some of the micro-intensive stuff, I was always experiencing that kind of thing because of BGH. I mean, you're an A-ranked player, not that far off. Yeah, I'm like low A. I'm kind of barely A. I mean, Nesh, Moonrai, Hawk, they're all definitely better than me in 1v1, but yeah. Alright. So anyway, even teams are very strong. 1v1 players can lose a lot to experienced BGH teams if they haven't previously been exposed to all the depraved tactics experienced BGH players use to win. Oh, Jaehyun. Thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate it. This will hopefully be a multi-part series where I will use data from a curated data set of roughly 11,500 games between relatively skilled players to answer a few questions about BGH. WTF is this? Jen, you're like the... It's an article, man. You should like this kind of stuff. It's an article on BGH. Since 3v3 is the most popular and my favorite form of BGH team play, the remainder of this post will be dedicated to analyzing 3v3. In part 1, we're going to try to use data to answer the oft-debated question, what is the most powerful composition in 3v3 BGH? Let me get some, what do you guys think before we continue? What do you guys think is the strongest composition for BGH in 3v3? I want to hear some guesses. I don't even remember what my guesses are. Let me actually double check, because he asked me this a while ago. No, not unit composition, but race composition. Whichever one that has the most Protoss. Oh, Jen. Let me look up my answers real quick, because SK asked me this a while ago, and I don't remember what I said. And he didn't tell me the answer. But I want you guys give me some guesses, and then I'll share what mine were. 2 Terran Protoss. Interesting. Yeah, like the race. The 3, like, what 3 races are the strongest composition? ZZT, ZZP, PPP. You gotta pick one, Dustin. Give me one. And then what do you think the worst would be outside of Triple Terran? Because of course Triple Terran is trash. Oh, sorry. I'll ask you guys the same way SK asked me, because I assume this is the answer we're gonna get. Alright, so first he asked me what the highest win percentage race matchup is. Those are the order? Okay, I gotcha. So I guessed ZPP. I was thinking ZPP is probably the best. And then he asked me, what do I think their best and worst matchups are, excluding Triple Terran? And I said PPZ's worst would be against PPT, and their best would be against TZZ. So did that make sense? Let me write it out just to make sure you guys hear. So I thought the best was DPZ, best verse. Wait, what did I say? Wins most often versus TZZ, worst versus PPT. So this was my guess. I can explain my train of thought, but this was including lower ranked games, so it's a little bit hard to think about that, because like I'm thinking on like a higher level. If you're including lower level stuff, it gets a little bit harder for me to think about. Too complex? I gotcha. Alright. In this context, composition refers to the races played by a particular team, usually referred to by the first letter of each race. For example, 2 Protosses in a Terran would be PPT. Right? So the rest of this article assumes a novice level understanding of both Brood War and BGH. All data is taken from the wonderful Rep Mastered app. I don't even know what that is. Disclaimer. For each of the claims I'm going to present, there's an ocean of caveats and yes buts. In particular, spawn locations play a huge role in determining the outcome of any individual game. So true. Actually, it's so true. To keep this article from turning into a novel, I'm going to ignore spawns and just look at how each composition performs in general, averaged over all spawns in the dataset. Spawn-specific analysis will come in a future article. I think that's good. I think that's really good, actually, because there's so many, like, so many spawn compositions, because it matters like which race goes where as well on top of the composition overall, that if you did all of that and like you try to cut it all up by that, it would be so much information. And that's the thing about BGH. For BGH players, like we've been playing for 20 plus years, a lot of us, and that's like how long it took to get used to all the potential like combinations basically and like how to play them. And even then, I wouldn't say that we're amazing at it, right? It's the depth of BGH goes pretty hard. All right, here's the map layout, but you guys should pretty much know about that by now. I wish my scroll wheel wasn't broken. I didn't know you were literate. Yeah, who knew, man? Before we dive into the data, it's worth pointing out a few important features of the map. If you've played a lot of BGH before, you can probably skip this part. We're going to go over it anyway for the sake of, yeah, just covering everything. There's over 20,000 ways to distribute 6 players on BGH, by the way. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like I've probably played 20,000 games of BGH. That's actually crazy to think. Is it really over 20,000? I mean, I believe that. That's pretty insane. Is it really 20,000? Is it that high? It's wild. Alright, the center. BGH largely follows a hub-and-spoke model where every main base opens into a natural expansion and outlets to the center of the map, with some notable exceptions. More on that later. It's impossible for many of the spawns to interact with each other via land without passing through the center. This makes controlling the center extremely important for one simple reason. The team that controls the center can combine their armies while simultaneously preventing the other team from doing so. This means that even if the other team has a significantly higher supply, the team that holds mid can reliably force 1v2, 1v3, or 2v3 fights and trade very efficiently as a result. Many high-level BGH games end after one battle for the center in the early game, and the losing team preferring to just GG rather than try to come back. Yeah, this is all very accurate, which I expect from SK. I mean, he's an intelligent guy. So, yeah, this is all 100% true. There are ways to fight against people at the center, but you typically have the disadvantage, especially if you're getting blocked off, that kind of thing. We all kind of know about that. Like Canada and that kind of thing. Yeah, I had one account. My original account was, I want to say around 12,000 wins, not counting losses. So I've definitely played well over 20,000 games by now of BGH. No way it's 20k, is it? It's hard to imagine, huh? It doesn't sound right to me the more I thought about it. But I don't know the formula for it, but it's just like, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, that doesn't sound right. Eight spawn locations. 3v3. 3 possible races, yeah, for each individual player. Okay, actually, maybe it is 20,000. Okay, I'm actually kind of believing it a little bit now. Alright, Eyes confirmed it. I believe you now, SK. Pretty wild to think about, actually. Alright, non-centered paths. In addition to the shared chokes noted above... Wait, did I go over that? I did, right? Yeah. In addition to the shared chokes noted above, 1/3 have an extremely short rush distance and 1/3 or 1 and 3? Yeah, 1/3. 1/3. Is it saying 1 and 3 or 1/3? We're talking about 1 and 3, right? Yeah, okay. In addition to the shared chokes noted above, 1 and 3 have an extremely short rush distance and multiple paths to reach the center. In fact, all of the top spawns plus 3 o'clock can reach each other by land without passing through the center. And yeah, we're talking about this little path right here. So there's all of this right here that kind of connects everything outside of the center, whereas everything on this side doesn't really have that. You know, you got this shared choke here. Travel distance, like he's saying, extremely long from down here, extremely long from here. Typically, your army sim city is going to be around in here, so this is pretty short. And then yeah, you got this connecting to like go around and set up like flanks or maybe like bypassing the mid, that kind of thing. That's what we're talking about here. What are we saying? What are you saying to me? Anyone who would know BGH better would be Soviet Kingdom and maybe Landowner. Oh, better than me? Okay. I won't respond. I won't get baited into saying things right now. Even though I know you're not trying to bait me. Shared chokes. There are 2 pairs of spawns that share a single entrance to the center of the map. There are 11 and 12 and 6 and 7. Furthermore, there is a path between these spawns that does not pass through the center, and the player 11 or 7 must go past 12 or 6 respectively to reach the center. Combine that with extremely short rush distances between these bases and you get a very interesting dynamic. If the shared players are on opposite team, they always end up fighting each other, while if they're on the same team, they can relatively easily combine their armies and block their chokes without having to pass through the center. Huge skill gap between 2 shared players in opposite teams, or 2 strong allies sharing a choke can often decide a game. So true. Sometimes you see a weak teammate shared with a strong enemy, and you're just like, alright, should we just GG now? No ramps, no high ground, no mercy. What's up, Nomad? This is a huge... Okay, what we're about to talk about here is another massive difference between BGH and really like any of like the low money 2v2s and stuff like that. Now, I know there are some rampless 2v2s maps, but it's still typically a closed off choke, whereas BGH has a lot of variety in the kind of chokes that you have. But the no ramp thing is huge, like absolutely huge. There's no high ground anywhere on the map other than like the corners, but that's not really used. I don't think there's such a thing as a 2v2 map that doesn't have high ground for low money. Unlike many low money maps, BGH bases are not on high ground and have a very wide entrance. Combine this with short rush distances and the threat of double triple teams, and it can often be very tricky to secure your choke. This is particularly a problem for Terran, who simultaneously have the weakest early game unit and the most incentive to wall off their choke. Additionally, the plus size mineral line and wide open terrain means that players who don't try to wall have a huge amount of area they need to protect in the event of an attack. That being said, I never wall because I'm Giga Chat, okay? The worst feeling is a strong player shared with a poor player who is a good macro guy. It's like F, their bad guy went from bad to decent because he can macro. Yeah. So true. Let's see. Putting it all together, we can start to get a sense of the most powerful way to play on BGH. Teamwork, mobility, and aggression are the unholy trinity of high-level BGH. Let's see how these ideas impact the three races. I like this so far. This is a good breakdown of BGH. I did do casting before this, and my voice is already a little bit weak, so I apologize for like the throat clearing and stuff like that. He even put graphs in there, man. Alright, race summary. First, let's compile some summary metrics for each race individually. We'll start by looking at each race in isolation, and then we'll look at pairs of races, for example, PPZ, PPT, but not triple P. Triplets, and then we'll put in it all together to see how each composition performs in totality. SK don't play when it comes to data. There's a few 2v2 maps with no high ground sparkle off the top of my head. Yeah, it's an island map though, right? Like there's still, and there actually is still high ground on Sparkle. You got that extra base inside your base that's down a ramp. Yeah, I see you're way overestimating StarCraft players. Or BGH players specifically. For each of these parts of the analysis, we will exclude a mirror matchup since mirrors by definition skew win rates towards 50%. First, let's get a feel for how each race performs in isolation. Game count win percentage. Ask me how surprised I am that Zerg has the highest win rate. It's going to be very low, just so you know. I'll say Terran's win rate is exactly what I expected. Should Reyna be its own race? No, it wouldn't be. How surprised are you? I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. There's a few reasons for that. Because even at low level... So here... Okay, let me explain why. So there's two reasons I think Zerg has a high win rate. Right? Both at high level and low level. At high level, okay, we all know. A high level Zerg going 9-pool guarantees safety and map control, unless you're against other Zergs, right? But even then, it still guarantees safety. So, like, if you have a Terran on your team, but you have a Zerg, and say they have two Zergs, and your Zerg can't really, you know, stop and cancel their Zerg completely, he still has that presence that does not allow them to commit to an attack anymore. Okay. Then, at low level, a 9-pool is just going to kill the bad players. Straight up. Happens all the time. They just won't survive the 9-pool. How big is this data set? Well, looking at this, we're looking at like 50,000 plus. Yeah, there you go. A lot more than 50,000. Oh, well, I guess this is a... Yeah, okay. 6 players per game, but still. Huge! Alright, so looking at this, it's going to break it down for us. Protoss is by far the most played at 45.2% of plays, followed by Zerg at 30%, and Terran at 24.6%. However, contrary to popular belief that BGH is a Protoss map, it is in fact Zerg that wins the most often in 3v3 with a 56.6% win rate compared to Protoss at 50.9%. Terran is a distant third at 40.2%. That's quite a difference. I love the excitement here. What's going on here? Basically, it comes down to each race's early game unit. Absolutely. 100%. Early game in BGH is everything. It's not everything, but it's a lot of the game. Zerg's basic unit is the Zergling, which becomes available very early, is very cheap, and has a speed upgrade that can reliably be researched extremely early. In the hands of a skilled player, Speedlings are very powerful in the early game. Their extreme mobility essentially guarantees Zerg-heavy teams early game map control, providing many opportunities for ganks. In high-level games, it is very common for early game Zergling aggression to decide a game in the first few minutes. We need that Hollywood guy's opinion on this article. Yeah, we do, man. Bad Terrans are horrible, like unplayable. Multiverse was no high ground map. That was big in 2v2. I don't remember this map at all. Protoss also has a powerful early game on BGH. I assume we're going to talk about cannons too, right? Surely. Though less so than Zerg. The Zealot is tanky and relatively cheap, but it's also slow. Speedlings run circles around them, but the many narrow corridors on BGH means that once Protoss can get 5 Zealots or more out, they can sometimes force decent trades even versus large number of Lings. Doing so, however, requires the Protoss to be very careful, lest they get surrounded and wiped out. Protoss can also quickly get photon cannons, which can be used both offensively and defensively, or in some situations, Dragoons. Zealots also combine extremely well with Zerglings and Marines, soaking up lots of damage while the Lings and Marines deal free damage. So, yeah, basically all we're talking about here is, you know, just Zealots combined with Lings. So, like, if you have, like, 10 Lings versus 10 Lings, but you throw in that one Zealot to help your 10 Lings, then it's an absolute massacre in your favor. Like, it's not even close. So their Zealots actually turn into, like, really good support units for your team. But Zerg also kind of, like, supports the Protoss, especially if you're getting map control and you get cannons up to, like, block and stuff like that, right? So it's actually funny because Zerg... It's like Zerg controls the game early, and then Protoss kind of becomes the support role in a way to the Zerg. So that they can get control. Or, you know, like you said, sometimes you do get situations where you get to go Dragoons, and you're just being fully supported by your team, which is, in my opinion, is my favorite thing. I absolutely love making Dragoon, if the turn rate's good. Terran, by contrast, poor Terran, is by far the weakest early on. The Marine is cheap, and the only basic unit with a ranged attack, but is also slow, easily killed, and has a low DPS. In a straight-up fight with Zealots and Speedlings, unupgraded Marines typically get massacred, especially in low numbers. Combine that with the short rush distances, and Terrans often find themselves facing very strong Zealot-Ling attacks before they can even have time to build more than a few Marines. Many a BGH game ends on the spot with a Terran getting his wall busted and dying 4 minutes into the game. Even if Terran survives the early game, it often gets blocked in by offensive cannons or bunkers, forcing the team to play 2v3 until the Terran can get tanks, or in a fight to break out guerrilla style. During that time, one of the Terran's unfortunate teammates will often be brutally gang murdered, forcing the Terranist remaining ally to play 2v3 for the rest of the game. Very, very accurate. Another common thing that didn't get mentioned here is it's even worse than that, right? Like, Terran gets blocked in, then they have to go for tanks, and then typically if they're getting cannoned in, Protoss is also going straight into DTs to make it where when Terran finally bust out, they still can't come out on the map. It's so frustrating playing Zerg or Terran and BGH sometimes. There are like some like really niche options, like you can do like offensive like 8 racks walling in people and stuff like that, but it's hard and not reliable. For a bit more detail on how this plays out in practice, we can look at a duration chart which shows each race's win percentage as a function of game duration indexed to a 50% win rate. This means a value of 0 would indicate exactly a 50% win rate, and anything above or below indicates a positive or negative win rate respectively. Man, poor Terran, huh? So Protoss actually starts to fall off, huh? In the late game. This actually puts it really well into perspective. how middle of the road Protoss is. And how it's really about how good Zerg is early and how bad Terran is early. It's actually crazy. And then Protoss is just kind of your consistent, race here. Yeah. Alright, Protoss has by far the most consistent graph, never deviating more than 5% from 50% for any game length. This seems to indicate that Protoss is a very good all-arounder in BGH, being able to contribute meaningfully in the early game with Mass Zealots and Cannons, in the mid game with Dragoons, Speed, Zealots, Dark, Templar, and Robo units, and in the late game with a strong economy and powerful spellcasters, like Storm and Recall. Also Stasis if you want to just never die, because these god-awful chokes. If you're 11 and 12 with Stasis, you're immortal. Pisses me off. Dustin. Terran, by contrast, suffers brutally in the early game, losing huge numbers of short games and not climbing above a 45% win rate until 10 minutes. Note that even though Terran has arguably the strongest BGH mid-game, they still never reach a 50% win rate until 26 minutes. This is because even Terrans who can get cleanly into the mid-game often still have to play from behind, since your team has to play 2v3 for several minutes and is usually taking a lot of damage. Most of my Terran wins, not most, a lot of my Terran wins, and this is just how it is for Terran. Terran, don't get the wrong idea, right? Terran's early game is really bad. And like this makes it appear that they're really bad all around. So, kind of what Sylvia's talking about. Terran's so bad early that his teammates are getting screwed. But when you get into mid-game, Terran is like ungodly strong on BGH. You're just at a disadvantage. That's the problem. So a lot of these wins you're seeing around this mark is Terran winning with a dead teammate. That's what these wins are. It's not that they're weak anymore, it's just that they don't have help anymore. Like, a lot of times, like, if you're against, like, double Zerg or something, you get out with a big bio ball or something, and your teammate's dead. Zerg can't stop you with Lings at all. They have to have been able to tech, and it kind of comes down to, like, how well did your teammates survive, how long did they survive, how much did they kill, that kind of thing, because the longer you survive when you have a Terran teammate, the weaker the Zergs are going to be, because they have to keep making Lings to make sure you die. And this, like, exponentially scales your Terran up into the mid-game. That's why dying slowly is a very important skill. I read that as Terran is least understood. Exactly. So true. The Zerg chart is basically the mirror opposite of Terran, winning a hilarious 70% of 3-minute games and staying well above 50% until the 10-minute mark, where the lack of economy starts to become a serious problem. However, even in these 10 to 15-minute games, Zerg win rates are still positive, as they've often gained enough of an advantage in the early game to survive even in a low economy. Need more dry games in the data set? True. It's also why Zerg is winning, as they're the weakest late game by far outside of god level players. Yeah, Zerg kind of becomes like such a support role. Pretty much the whole game, actually, there's a support role. Unless you play it the way I do and your teammates are pissed at you all the time. But I have more fun, okay? And that's the important part. Alright, double race summary. What is this? Oh, like PP. Okay, I see. Yeah, double Terran's gonna be a freaking nightmare, dude. It's the worst. I want to quit every time I get double Terran. Alright, so for play count, double Terran is the lowest at 12.3. Double Toss, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are picking Protoss. Win percentage, once again, as expected. Double Terran way down there. Double Zerg, very, very high. Yeah, it's because double Zerg is guaranteed control. The only time double Zerg is not guaranteed control is when you're against another double Zerg. What did I say? Did I say PPZ? Because now I want to go back to ZZP. I did say PPZ. I think... Okay, that's what I said. I said my guess would be either ZZP or ZPP. You told me to pick one, and I settled on PPZ. I felt like it was a trick question, even though it doesn't work that way. Alright, the double race numbers follow a similar trend as singles, but more extreme. Double Protoss wins a shade under 52% of the time, but double Zerg goes from 55 to an even more muscular 59.5. Meanwhile, double Terran wins a miserable 27.8% of the time, which, I'll be honest with you, might be higher than I expected. It's hard out there for a Terran. Somewhere in the world, Artosis is smashing a keyboard and Vindication. Double Zerg's dominance is easy enough to explain. Having two Zergs going 9 full speed essentially guarantees map control. Unless the other team also has double Zerg, that's literally what I just said. Skilled Zergs can turn BGH into a post-apocalyptic hellscape with massive packs of rabidlings prowling the map and devouring any army foolish enough to move out too early. Meanwhile, the Terran Protoss and their team is free to tech the mech or goons, respectively, which gives them much-needed beef to the mass Zergling army. Doubling all-ins with Goon Vulture tanks aboard are a contender for deadliest build in all of StarCraft. Dude, look, this is ridiculous. This is so funny. Dude, double Zerg, man. It's actually worse than I thought it was. I knew it was good, but like, holy dude. They actually win later, huh? I guess that makes sense, actually, because typically if you get later and later with double Zerg, it means you didn't die in the mid-game, and then they're getting to their, like, high-tech and their macro and stuff is kicking in, so that actually makes a lot of sense. So I mentioned random earlier. Status set is massively skewed too because a lot of random players are ZP players who can play Terran. Meanwhile, so many guys pick Z or P, rarely anyone picks Terran. Well, yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I would argue that anybody that plays random knows how to play all three. Yeah, Terran gets played the least because it's the hardest to play. But typically the people that pick Terran or pick random... Well, let me back up a little bit. At low level, the people that pick Terran have only played the campaign, basically, and they're god-awful. At a high level, nobody picks Terran because Terran's not good on BGH. But a lot of us play random. Like, a lot of us play random. So, I think it's fine. Like, it's still based on, like, percentage, like, the results and stuff. But... yeah, this is like more or less what I expected to see. For Terran, I knew it was like this. I did not realize, like, it didn't occur to me until I'm looking at it now and thought about it that this actually makes a lot of sense. Like, Zerg wins the early game a lot. Double Zerg crushes early game, as expected. There is that vulnerability mid-game like I was just talking about, right? Where they're low eco, low tech, like armies are small, that kind of thing. So they're not really scary, but then as it goes on, this dip is very interesting to me, though. This actually is very interesting to me, because I would have thought it'd be like a steady, like, up and up from here. I'm kind of wondering what this is. What is this moment here? Around the 25-minute mark. That suddenly dips again. Why 20 minutes? I would have thought, like, closer to, like, 15. Probably just noise? Okay, that would make... yeah, okay. That could make sense, then. Because, like, I would expect to see a dip like this. Like, here, this dip makes sense, right? To me, this makes sense because, you know, your early game's, like, super strong. As it goes on, Zerg does fall off. And then this, to me, is like, hey, our mech player is, like, really strong right now. And then I'm like, and then this would be, okay, well, our mech player didn't kill anybody. and now we're gonna lose again. But now Zerg is getting strong again. Like, that's what this is to me. I think this makes sense. This could just be noise, like you said. That would actually make a lot of sense. But I'm pretty sure that's what this moment is here, is what I was talking about. This is our mech player kicked in, our tech player kicked in. They didn't kill anybody. Zerg's getting strong again. Like, that's what this is to me. This is as expected. Terran sucks, Terran sucks, Terran sucks. And then, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, just more extreme again. Looking at the duration charts, we again see more extreme versions of single trends. Double Protoss breaks even for the first 7 minutes or so, then has a nice spike from 7 to 15 minutes and a mixed bag after the 15-minute mark. Double Terran loses most of its games in the first 10 minutes and doesn't really manage to reach equality even in longer games. Double Zerg is the mirror opposite, winning most of the games in the first 10 minutes, breaking even from 10 to 15 as their opponents start to outscale them, and then doing quite well in 15-plus minute games when things like high economy, mass meat, and high tech. Yeah, exactly. Play BGH? Probably not tonight. I'm gonna finish going over this and go to sleep, losing my voice. Triple race summary. Man, triple Terran wins 20%? That to me is really high. Like, surprisingly high. $113 games. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Give me 1 second, guys. We'll be right back. Okay. Alright, triple race games are quite rare in high-level BGH, occurring in only 7% of the games, with triple toss making the vast majority of that. Given how strong double Zerg is, you might think triple Zerg would be unstoppable, but this is not the case. While ZZP and ZZT combined for over a 59% win rate, ZZZ has below a 49% win rate, only about 1% higher than PPP. This highlights the shortcoming of Zerg on BGH that I've avoided mentioning until now, because Zerg must choose between making workers and units, and because map control is so important on BGH, Zerg usually spend all their larvae on units rather than drones early on. If the Zergs can't get a quick kill, their speedlings and low economy scale very poorly into the mid-game. This is why having a Protoss Terran on the team is so important. Their large economy and beefier units provide the extra muscle needed to break heavily fortified enemy bases, or if that's not feasible, they can use their higher tech army to buy time for the Zergs to drum up and play a longer game. As we would expect, Triple Terran gets mercilessly barbecued, winning only 20.4% of the games. Ouch. I did win a triple Zerg game last night, but I was against Flowers, so I don't know if it counts. And the best composition is... Let's put it all together and see if we can find the most powerful race composition on BGH. Double Zerg seems overpowered, but Triple Zerg is just okay. That means ZZP and ZZT must be the best, right? Let's take a look. We'll start by simply calculating the aggregate non-mirror win rate for each composition. What is this? Non-mirror win percentage. PPZ is the highest win rate at 60.4 or 64.2%. Also has the highest game count by a lot. Isn't that interesting? PPZ at 61, TZZ 56. Oh, PTZ does have more, 52. Yeah, the triples we knew were low. Dude, poor double Terran. Just poor Terran in general, man. It's so sad for double Terrans. Just Terran in general. You know what that means? That means I'm right then, yeah? Am I right? Is there more to this, or am I just right? Crazy. Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep going. This is for, yeah, whatever. What? You just wrote a mini essay about how ZZX goes to the moon on BGH, only to rug pull and tell me PPZ wins the most often? Yes, indeed. Never trust anything you read on the internet. Figure out what's going on here. There's one last piece of the puzzle we need. The time has finally come to look at individual matchups. First things first, how many possible matchups are there? There are 10 unique compositions possible for each team in 3v3. Since there are 2 teams, that makes 10 times 10, 100 possible matchups. However, 10 of these are mirrors, PTZ versus PTZ, for example, and half the remaining 90 are duplicates. PPZ versus TZZ is the same as TZZ versus PPZ after all, of course. That leaves 45 unique non-mirrors plus the 10 mirrors for a total of 55 possible matchups. To help us visualize such a large number of matchups as easily as possible, I'm going to display the data in the form of a matrix. Each cell in the matrix will contain 2 numbers, the matchup win rate, and the number of games played for that matchup. Any matchup with fewer than 30 total games played will be grayed out, as will mirrors. Any matchups without at least 1 game played will be blank. Each matchup will be shown twice in the matrix, once for each side of the matchup. Winning records are highlighted in green and losing records in red. Okay, you guys might have to tell me this. I might be too retarded. Might actually be too dumb. Alright, let's see. So mirrors grayed out, obviously. So PPZ. Show us Hank's friends? What do you mean? Wrote it in study matrices? No, I didn't. So PPZ has a very low win rate against triple toss. I knew this, right? I did know this. When people are picking PPZ, the best thing you can do, the best, I always said this. I said this in the Chinese games that I played. When people pick PPZ, the best thing to do is pick triple toss and all 3 go triple gate. It just completely overwhelms them. Really good against PPT, I knew that. PTT, of course, PTZ. So it actually does bad against TZZ, but I wouldn't even say bad. Pretty much even, huh? That's actually... Would I've expected that it has a even record against TZZ, slightly less than 50. Trying to think of how that makes sense in my head. I guess doubles are gets control, and then I guess mech, right? It's just that mech is too strong. Yeah, spawns also make a huge difference, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's part of it. Like, a lot of these numbers that are close, we do have to remember that we're not talking about spawns, right? I do kind of keep forgetting about that. Yeah, an isolated Terran is bad in all situations, no matter what. So anytime Terran is like in a corner by themselves away from their team, win rate's gonna drastically drop naturally. Yeah, so a lot of these things that are like kind of close like this, yeah, we can easily chalk it up to spawns, especially these with like low numbers, right? Yeah. Yeah, they can protect the Terran, of course, right? Yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, vultures will be very, very strong in those situations. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, vulture, very, very strong. Also, one of the Zergs can get to Buta, like, relatively easily. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Well, of course it makes sense. Okay, that's cool. Cool stuff. Anything else we're interested in? Triple Zerg actually does good against triple toss. It's kind of surprising. You know what? It's not surprising. Because against triple toss, Protoss is probably... Well, Zerg also. Zerg's really bad at surviving. PTZ. Okay, so I think against triple toss it makes sense because it's very easy to kill a toss with a double 9 pull. You don't even need all 3 Zergs to do it. So you can kind of kill a player and have a Zerg go macro, even. I think the reason it would be bad against PTT is because Protoss is going to naturally just go straight into defensive mode. Like, when you're this matchup, anytime you're playing double Terran, you're going to play a super defensive game. Zerg typically is going to open Lings. So you're just already set up defensively, so I think this kind of makes sense. Again, it's a low number, like a low count of games, right? But I still think this makes sense, because defensive play is going to be triple Zerg the most. If you have something like PPP, you're not thinking of being defensive. So I think this makes a lot of sense. And then I think with a Zerg on the other team as well, like the Zerg can easily cancel out defensive, like can help his players survive, basically. Okay, cool stuff. What is Triple Terran best against? PPZ at 19.6%. Solid. Why is this grayed out again? Because we're not doing... Why did we gray this out? Actually, don't remember. Why is Triple Terran grayed out with triple toss? Insufficient data? 17 games? Oh, okay, okay. Less than 30? Gotcha, that makes sense. I'd like to see more Triple Terran versus triple toss, though. It's kind of interesting. If you examine this table closely, you'll see there's not a single composition that has a winning record in every single matchup. So rather than asking what the best 3v3 comp is, we're going to have to be a little more precise with our wording. Given all we've explored so far, I think it's fair to make the following statements. Exactly, Dustin. Given a game with 6 random players with this data set who all pick random, the most desirable comp is PPZ and the least desirable is TTT. I like this wording, actually. This is good wording. For any composition, it is always possible for the other team to pick a comp that counters it. Having multiple Terrans sucks. So true. Not having a Zerg almost always sucks if the other team has one. Also very true. Yeah, we didn't really look at that, but I mean, this is kind of an own thing. If you don't have a Zerg and they have a Zerg, win rate drops drastically, just naturally. That's not very satisfying. And it turns out this still isn't the whole story. Some of you are probably wondering, what happens if we control for the skill level of each team? After all, Protoss dominates at the lower levels of 1v1, but gets flame broiled at the very top end of the ASL SSL, while Terran and Zerg seem roughly even up to the very top, but struggle more at lower levels. How do these numbers look if we include only games from the top players? To see that, we're going to have to define how we decide who the top players are. While we can easily filter by ladder MMR, ASL, SSL games to see high-level 1v1 games, there's no such equivalence for 3v3 BGH. The only 3v3 ladder currently running is a 3v3 BGH MMR bot on Europe, which, while excellent, isn't particularly useful for filtering for high-level games. Very true. In practice, the top end of MMR bot is more a measure of how well you can carry weak teammates, rather than who can play well when all 6 players are very strong. Furthermore, many of the best BGH players don't play the MMR bot games at all, so when it comes to player rating, we're going to have to roll on our own. How much do we have to go here? Okay, we're getting close. I'm losing my voice. For simplicity, I'm going to use a system very similar to the ELO system used in chess, but with some tweaks specific to 3v3. First, I'm going to keep track of 3 ratings for each player instead of 1. Each player will get a separate rating for each of their Terran, Zerg, and Protoss, starting at 1500 MMR. For each game, I'll calculate the average MMR for each team, and use that to calculate how many points to add/subtract for each win defeat. If you want more details on how ELO is calculated, see here. We're not going to check it out. Games will be analyzed chronologically from the date they were played. Once we have these ratings, I'll calculate the average MMR for each game across all 6 players and take the top 20% rated games for each matchup. I'll then show the exact same matchup charts as above, but filtered only for those elite games. For players with multiple aliases, I'll assign all games to a single alias where possible. For fun, here's what the MMR distribution for each race looks like. If you've never seen a box whisker plot before, which I haven't, I wish my scroll button. I gotta clean my mouse before I lose my mind. If you've never seen a box whisker plot before, the box represents the 25 to 75th percentile of ratings. The line inside the box is the median, and the whiskers at the end are the maximum and minimum ratings in the day at minimum 30 games played. Alright, help me understand this? I didn't understand this. Oh, this is like the general... Hang on. This is like the general MMR for the races. So the middle line in the box is the 50th percentile. Top of the box is 75th, bottom is 25th. Zerg players are too good. Right? Poor Terran. Poor Terran. Zerg OP. Yeah, I got it now. I'm just, my voice is like going on me. Hate it. Hate having such a weak voice. First, let's look at the updated win rate per composition table. I'll put it side by side with unfiltered one for comparison. PPZ is still on top, but it's now in a dead even heat with PZZ. Meanwhile, ZZZ gets a huge glow up, going from a 48% win rate to almost 59%. Three of the top 4 spots are now occupied by compositions with at least 2 Zergs. Isn't it funny, by the way? That I was so torn between PPZ and PZZ when you asked me. Isn't that something interesting? It makes me feel better. Oh yeah, I wanted to check, actually. I didn't look at what the best and worst matchups were. Let me check that real quick, compared to my answers. So I said... Let me look again. I think PPZ loses most often to PPT. Is that what I said? That's crazy. Wasn't even close. Why did I say that? I even know that it's triple toss. When I'm playing matches with 24H and they pick PPZ, I'm like, yo, let's go triple toss and mass zealot. Dude, sometimes I'm retarded, man. And I thought they win most versus TZZ. Which is also bad. Right? What did I say? Hang on. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bear with me. I said best is PPT. Okay, sorry. Their PPT was decent. And I thought their worst was... No, sorry, I keep reading this wrong. Yeah, I thought PPT was their worst, and their best was TZZ. So pretty much backwards, actually. That's funny. And you said excluding TTT. Why would I not think... Man, that's... This is, like, obvious, no? I must not have put much thought into it. Whatever, this doesn't count. Dude, that's so funny. Why did I say that? I literally had to have not been thinking about that. I can't remember what my thought process back then was, but that's terrible. That's funny. Alright, now we're going to look up the matchup matrix for high level. Was I like trying to be like... I don't know. So trying to be like edgy or something? Like why would I say that? Alright, so we'll look at PPZ and PZZ. Kind of want to compare the two, right? Because they're pretty close. So PPZ and PZZ versus PPT, right? Slightly favored for the double Zerg version. But not by much. I think this makes sense. So, to me, PPZ, this is the way this plays out. Very similar to PZZ, but less reliable, basically. In PPZ, you have the double Zealots, right? Plus the Lings to fight the other two Protosses, right? So you're guaranteed map control early to get cannons. Now, based on spawns, if Terran is shared choke with Protoss, this composition gets really, really weak. Because the Marines will always be able to fight with the Zealots now, and that makes this incredibly hard for PPZ. So I think, if I had to guess, most of the difference between these two is, did Terran get shared choke with a Protoss? It could be just that they got it more here. But I think here, with double Zerg, it's just going to be like an overwhelming amount of Lings early. And it's just much easier to guarantee getting cannons up, I think, from your one Protoss. Or... if they just get to Dragoons, Dragoons are very, very powerful. Like, Dragoons will always be reliable here. So this is probably Dragoons are more consistent. Cannons I could see being more consistently going up. And here, if it's shared choke with Terran, I think it's really, really difficult for PPZ. So that would be my guess as to what's happening there. That being said, it's funny. I say PPZ is better. PZZ actually has a really good win rate against it. It's only 48 games, but... win rate overall actually pretty high. Okay, this is actually where a lot of their advantage comes from then. Against PTT, we have an extra 12% win rate over this. And to me, the reason would be because Terran Bio against double Zerg, very, very strong. Terran Bio against double Protoss, not very strong. That's probably a lot of the difference there. Okay, well, we got the general idea. It's all pretty interesting. It's good stuff. This seems a little less ambiguous. PPZ absolutely crushes any comp with a Terran in it, but has substantially losing records against PZZ and TZZ. Terran Zerg has a winning record in all matchups for which we have sufficient data, but struggles against PZZ over a small sample. Yeah. This, to me, is because Goons are just kind of superior to Vultures in the beginning. And tanks early are just not good. I think that's why Protoss with double Zerg is slightly better than Terran with double Zerg. Vulture's obviously very good against Lings, but I think in general, you also are likely to be able to cannon in the Protoss or the Terran against the Terran. Too many Doom spawns, yeah. Like if the Protoss makes Zealots, you're just gonna cannon in the Terran 100% of the time. Outside of making mistakes, I guess. PZZ also has a winning record in all matchups, with the only potential weakness being versus Triple Toss, though we have only 12 games in the sample. Conclusion. So is the strongest composition in 3v3 BGH? It's PZZ, and here's why. It doesn't have any weaknesses. If you know the other team has a Terran, PPZ is the way to go, since it simultaneously guarantees early game map control like PZZ, just with a stronger economy. This is why PPZ has the overall highest win percentage. It dominates any top of the Terran in it. However, It's hard to rank it number 1 when it has such a losing record in 2 different matchups. While PZZ has an overall lower win rate versus Terran comps, it still crushes them, plus it has a winning record in every single matchup for which we have sufficient data. The only possible weakness indicated in the data is triple toss, 33% high-level games, but only over a sample of 12 games. TZZ is a good second option since it's favored versus everything except PZZ, so here's my final rankings. This is Soviet's final rankings. I put PBZ in 3rd, wow. Wow. I can kind of see why, though. I followed the logic. So here we go. This is Soviet's take. I can't believe triple Terrans at the bottom. Never would have thought. Do I agree with this? PZZ, TZZ, PPZ. I think TZZ over PPZ. Do I agree with that? I guess if you're... Yeah, okay. I see why. I see the thought process. So it's just the overall has a more winning record, like in overall matchups, right? And whereas PPZ is pretty inflated because of the win rates versus the Terrans, whereas we like plummet in the other matchups. So I understand this thought process. And if you think of it that way, it's actually very logical. So we're like, yeah, okay. I can agree with that. Yeah. It's a more consistent, like, race composition, right? So if you're looking at it in, like, terms of consistency, that actually makes a lot of sense. Which I think would be more important, because essentially it's saying with less bad luck and better execution, this race should play better overall. Or this composition. What did you say, Jin Jin? If you look at stream thumbnails, that looks exactly like the Korean StarCraft guy streaming him trading stocks. I don't know what you're talking about. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. And I'll see you in the next one. Written by S Kingdom Brood War with 0 followers. I don't have an account, so I won't follow either. Alright, well, I think this is a really good article. Like, really, really good. I pretty much agree with everything. I actually think I just agree with everything. I think the data is, like, really well done. It's presented, like, super well. And it makes it very hard to argue with any of the points that you've made. It's interesting because in general, everything's pretty much as I expected, but I've been playing for so long. There's like a few things that definitely surprised me. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, very, very interesting. Very good article. Like it quite a bit. Alright, that's gonna do it for me. We're at 1:30 a.m. My voice is completely shot. I think this was a nice read. Yeah, that's kind of what caught me off guard. Was I thought their mid game was better. But I can understand why I had that misconception. Because, like, I feel so powerful going into mid-game, right? But, like, in my head, it's like, dude, when you get to mid and late game Terran, like, you're a beast, you know? But it's like you said, like, I think I had that misconception because of how strong I feel, but I wasn't really considering in the moment the fact that my team is dead. So I think that kind of skewed it a little bit in my head. Because I feel like really good about my mid-game Terran, like really, really good, but yeah, it's always hard to play as a struggle. It takes some like really, really high-level execution to try to win consistently like that. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're lucky, it's 2v3 and your teammate that died held on long. It feels like most of my Terran wins are because my teammate didn't die immediately. If he dies immediately, it's like, there's no point even to survive. The longer they survive, the stronger you're going to be versus the opponents coming out in the mid-game. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed going over this article. Like I said, I think it was really well done. Thank you, Soviet, for writing this. I think it was really nice. Is Love Snow actually playing StarCraft? Or is he like asleep or streaming somebody else's stuff? Okay, he's just watching other people's stuff. Looks like he might be passed out in his chair. I mean, maybe he's on his phone. Might be on his phone. He might be passed out, though. Alright, guys, we're not going to raid anybody. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for the raid, SK and J Unit. I'll be back on tomorrow. Probably try to do some more casting. We got 2 of the casts done today. They were really good games. I'll get those uploaded tomorrow morning. And we will continue knocking out some StarCraft content. If I feel good enough tomorrow night, I will, probably do some more Persona 5. But you guys have a good night. Appreciate all of you. Catch you guys later. Peace.